Hey there guys, what's up? It's all about Mike 18 here with another video, another TV episode review, guys. I don't know what to say. I'm in my car again. Is it a big surprise? I hope not. Yeah guys, I am in my car again. Sorry about the helicopter flying overhead. I'm in my car again here to film a TV episode review. I've never filmed a TV episode review on my webcam in my car before, so I'm not driving though. I'm in a parking lot. I'm on campus right now, guys. I got out of class like 2 hours ago, but I actually was on a shoot, so I finished the shoot early, and then it's like later on in the afternoon. Now I'm here to film this review in my car. Now I'm here to review the newest episode of The Walking Dead, as you guys know from the title of the video, and I would have reviewed it last night, but I did not get a chance to review it last night. I'm sorry about that. This review's a little bit later. I'm posting it later. Okay, I'm sorry. I had a long weekend, guys. I was on a shoot this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I had to travel to Long Island from where I live here in New York. It was like a hour drive back and forth, and I couldn't sleep over, so I had to go back and forth. It was a really fun shoot. I had a great time, but I'm so exhausted. It was just like we did a lot, so I need some sleep. But last night I didn't get home until midnight. I got home late. We wrapped later, and we had to clean up because we were shooting in a house actually, and it was awesome. I enjoyed it. I really had fun, but I didn't get home until late, till midnight, and so for that reason, I got home. I had dinner because I hadn't eaten anything since like 2 in the afternoon. So I had dinner. I had something for dinner, and I watched the newest episode of The Walking Dead at 12:30. I caught the 12:30 chunks. I was glad I got to see it because I missed the one at 9 and the one at 11, of course. But because they rerun it like 50 million times, I got to see it at 12:30, which was cool. But anyway, so now I'm gonna review it, and I know I would have just gone home, but after I shoot this review, I have work to do here on campus, so I can't go home and go in my normal surroundings. I'm sorry, guys, but this is going to be for the next couple of weeks, but as soon as we get into May, we'll be good. Okay, as soon as I'm done with work. Anyway, getting into this episode of The Walking Dead, let's get away from my personal life. Let's talk about this episode of The Walking Dead. This was Season 5, Episode 14. I can't think of the Spend was the title of the episode. And all kidding aside, I honestly was just like, yeah, alright, another episode of The Walking Dead. You know, I wasn't like dying to see it or anything like that. Probably because the promo that they had for last night's episode wasn't it wasn't that stimulating. Like, they didn't really like show much. I'm like, all right, there's like, I'm seeing a lot of characters. I don't know where this is gonna go, because the way they ended episode 13 with Rick touching the wall and the walker out on the other side, I mean, it has one of those endings like anything can happen. So that's tonight's episode. That was last night's episode. Spends. Anything can happen, you know. This group just got to Alexandria, but obviously something bad is going to go down. But then, however, so I was like, yeah, all right, another episode of The Walking Dead. All right, I missed it, and I knew I was going to watch it at 12:30 when I got home. But there was like no rush earlier. As I got home, I called my dad and my brother, who had seen the episode already, and was like, all right, guys, I'm on my way home. I'm coming home. And they're like, get home. You got to be home by 12:30. You got to watch the newest episode. It was the best episode of the season. I'm like, guys, really? You say that like every week. Oh, this episode, because they're fanboys of the show, you know. I like the show. I love The Walking Dead, even though I've realized it's had its flaws over the time. So like, you gotta get home, you gotta watch it. So I came home, I watched it, now here I am. So, spoiler heavy, of course. I'm gonna try to condense it. I'm not gonna explain like every single plot point that happened in tonight's episode, but there's about one main plot point going on that's sort of driving the episode, and I think is going to cause some problems because the events of this plot line, the way things happened, it's gonna cause some problems for next week. So we're gonna see. And then there were like 3 other subplots. Sorry, I don't know why there's helicopters flying overhead. But anyway, let me get into the subplots. But basically, the main storyline centers around Glenn, Noah, Eugene, Tara, Aiden, and Nicolas. Aiden and Nicolas, the 2 Alexandria members, going to this like warehouse facility or something to Need to collect. I'm sorry, guys. They need to collect some supplies for a solar panel thing that they have going on in Alexandria. And Eugene has this like great idea or something like that. I don't know. And so that's the main storyline. Then we have Abraham's storyline, and there's a whole construction plot. He's working on building a wall with a few other Alexandria group members. Then we have the episode focused a little bit on Rick and Jessie and this little thing that's going on with them. And then we also had some focus on Carol and that little boy Sam. And then of course even Father Gabriel pops in. So there was a lot going on in tonight's episode. Very interesting. In the why do I keep saying tonight's episode? The most recent episode, last night's episode. So let me discuss. Before I get into the big one and what really big happened last night, I'm just going to say this off the bat. I did really enjoy last night's episode. I'm not sure if it's my favorite of the season. I doubt it. Because this is the type of season where I don't have a favorite yet, but I have a lot of episodes that I liked, and there's some that I just didn't like. Like, I think it's better than Season 4 overall, but Season 5 it just doesn't have, like, a best one yet, and I'm hoping it's going to be like the finale or something. But anyway, this is by far one of the best episodes of the season so far. The suspense, the overall plot, and the editing was amazing in tonight's episode, especially in the ending scene. The acting was great. Everything really, really worked with last night's episode. So sorry, guys. Oh man. I don't yawn, it's so unprofessional, but I'm yawning because you could tell I hardly got sleep last night and this weekend. But Abraham's storyline, let's get into his. He's working on construction with some guys from Alexandria. They're outside the walls. They end up getting swarmed, and you can clearly tell that they have not been spending enough time outside of Alexandria because they just keep screwing. They just keep... what's the word I'm looking for? They're weak when it comes to picking off walkers, or like killing off walkers. Like they're always quick to retreat or something like that. And it's probably because they don't have a lot of experience dealing with these walkers. Or dealing with, zombies. They haven't been out in the world enough. They've been fortified. And yes, we have people who go out, but they haven't been out like Rick's group has. Because of that, Abraham takes charge and starts picking off this herd of walkers coming in, saves this one woman who's working with these guys in like a bulldozer, which was a pretty cool shot, honestly. I don't know, I like that. And he steps up and really showed initiative. And it warrants the attention of one of the construction workers to actually talk to Deanna about Abraham's actions. And that is pretty interesting. And I like Abraham as a character on the show. I always have. And that was by far one of his best moments on last night's episode, without a doubt. Easily one of his best moments. The way he just took initiative like that, the use of the phrase mother dick, I love that. I'm coining it now. I'm gonna start saying that. No, I really like it. I thought that was great. So that was a great storyline. Then we have Carol and that little boy Sam. Now, as we all know, Carol is still, like, sort of playing the role of, like, that, like, not uptight, but, like, that, like, quiet, like, innocent, like, elder woman, like, middle-aged woman. She wears, like, fruity clothes and everything like that. She looks like a parent almost, and she looks completely harmless, and we all know Carol's just playing it off. But I just had to comment on how I love seeing Carol like that. I mean, I think that's fucking awesome. And she's so badass. But what I liked about Carol's storyline is how it connects, how the whole thing with Sam and his father connects with Carol and her own life before the apocalypse. So I'm going to get to that. Sam, that little boy who wants cookies, who caught Carol in the gun room, comes into Carol's house in what do you call it? in the house that the group is sharing in or whatever. And he wants more cookies, and they have a little bit of a conversation. Carol is sort of like hesitant to like she wants to just like get rid of the kid or something like that. Like she doesn't want to, you know, obviously she wants no one to find out about the guns. But the kid actually Sam actually has a proposition for her. At first he wants her to make more cookies. Then we find out what he really wants is a gun. We don't know why. Carol asked him, "Why do you want a gun, Sam?" And it's because he saw her in the storage locker, so he knows, oh, she can get me guns. She can get me a gun. And he doesn't answer, and he actually leaves the house abruptly. So obviously it concerns her, and she's concerned about it. So she decides to go over to Jessie and Pete's house. As well know, Jessie's the blonde who's slowly developing a crush on Rick. They're crushing on each other. And Jessie doesn't answer the door, but what's his name? Pete does. And Jessie's husband. And he looks very, you know, like rushed, and like he's trying to get Carol away from the door. And you can tell there's a shot of his fist clenching the door, his voice, the way he's not breathing right. You could tell something's going on. It's a very dark environment. It's clearly implied that he is beating his own son and possibly his other children. And it also ties in to Rick's storyline, because what Rick does in this episode as the sheriff, he is investigating. He goes over to Jessie's house and investigates sort of like a break-in. Not like Jessie called him or anything, but he's walking by and he sees a bunch of stuff all over the floor in her garage. And he's like, what the hell is going on here? So he asked, and she said, something happened. Somebody came in here. If you want to, check it out for me. And he agrees to. And we're like, yep, or this is definitely going somewhere. The Rick and Jessie relationship. It's happening, guys. And then we eventually, I think Pete, that's right, Pete comes over to Rick's house and wants to have a beer with him, and the whole encounter between the two of them is just incredibly awkward, and you could tell they're at odds, and you could tell it probably has something to do with Jessie. Rick is sort of like crushing on her. That's his wife. You tell there is tension between the two, and that tension is only going to be added more so because when Carol sees him, when he comes to the door, when Carol comes to Pete's house and he comes to the door and runs off, realizing that he beats his own kids, his own son Sam. She goes right over to Rick and says, "We have a problem. Pete is probably physically abusing Sam, and Sam wants a gun for him. Rick, I mean, this is out of hand. We have nothing really to do. You're going to have to kill him." And I'm like, whoa, I don't know about that. That's obviously not going to sit well with the people of Alexandria. And the whole time I was saying to myself, does Rick really need to kill him? Can he just arrest him? Rick is the sheriff, so there's like, is there no jail in Alexandria? You could arrest them. That's just me. We all know Carol has like a bloodthirsty, like, bloodlust. She always wants to watch the world burn. No, I'm kidding. But that's Carol. That's the kind of character that Carol has evolved into, as we all know. So that storyline ends right there. So, and it's done very well through parallel editing. We have those scenes of Rick and Carol telling Rick about something needing to be done, about the abuse that Sam is taking from Pete, and you can see how well Carol connects with that because of her own abuse that she suffered in an abusive relationship with Ed, and she had Sophia then. And so I really like that sort of like parallel connection that Carol has with Sam. So at first, like, she's blowing him off in this episode. Now she really sympathizes for him because she knows what that's like, and she knows how Sophia had to deal with stuff like that. And that is why I really like that plot line. It really worked well for me. And then that's parallel. That's intercut with shots of Abraham, shots of Deanna and Gabriel, which I'm going to get to in the end, which is crazy, and I can't wait to talk about that. But those are like the main, the subplot storylines that I wanted to get into. I'm going to get into the main one now, and there's a whole other storyline with Gabriel and Deanna. But the main one is the group headed off to, this group headed off to get supplies for the solar panel stuff. So that is what's going on with that group. So they go on a run. Again, it consists of Glenn, Noah, Tara, Eugene, Aiden, and Nicolas. So they arrive there. They go inside, and there are a bunch of walkers caged, like caught in these cages. So they find their way inside, and they find the thing that they're looking for. Okay? And, the group is like, alright, this is going to be an easy, clean sweep. We go in, we get the crap we gotta need, we get out. Of course, something goes wrong, and a zombie clad in riot gear starts walking towards Aiden, and Aiden starts firing at him, starts trying to get a headshot in there, but can't because he's got the riot gear on. So Glenn points it out, you can't shoot him, he's got riot gear on, and there's nothing you're going to do. So you start shooting him all over the body, and then we see from Glenn's POV, we see grenades strapped onto the zombie's gear, the riot gear. And we know all of a sudden, oh, that's not good. So what does Aiden do? He ends up shooting a grenade and blows the place up. Alright, then we cut to commercial. Then when we cut back to this group in this warehouse, the group member's a little disoriented. That's really the only main thing. Aiden, since he was standing so close to the zombie, is like impaled against the wall, and there's like two like knives sticking out of him attached to the wall or something, and he's stuck. And Tara has a serious head injury from the explosion. She's bleeding profusely. So the group has no choice but to honestly almost split up pretty much. Eugene has to get Tara, has to stay with Tara and keep her keep her, like breathing and everything, because she could slip into unconsciousness at any rate, because she's got that serious head injury. And then the other group is going to try to, the other part of the group is going to try to free Aiden, because he's impaled against the wall. And throughout the beginning of the episode, when we see this group traveling, we have Eugene, and there's always shots of him looking terrified. And at first, he didn't even want to go out with the group on this run to get these supplies. He's just the scientist who knows how to use this solar panel crap. Okay, so he just thought, you know what, guys, just pick the crap up for me. And then they're like, we're not going to know what we're going to need yet. We're going to need you to come with us. Obviously, Eugene doesn't want to, but he's pretty much got no choice. So he comes with them. He's horrified as hell. He obviously doesn't like being out there. And what was so great about tonight's episode, we finally had Eugene step up. Okay, and I was really happy about that. Eugene and Tara are in this corner, and Tara's bleeding out, and Eugene sees like sort of an exit, so he picks up a gun, honestly starts to stand up for himself, and picks off a couple walkers, carrying Tara into the truck that is waiting outside for them. And I really like that moment. This was a good episode for two reasons of character moments. Had a really good Abraham character moment, had a really great Eugene character moment. Probably one of Eugene's best moments in the show. Honestly, I think another great moment was the whole fire hose thing. But I really liked this one probably the most, because it took Eugene out of his comfort zone, and the writers had him come out of his comfort zone, and they had him step up and honestly try to protect Tara, one of his closest friends in this entire apocalypse, because they talk a lot. So meanwhile, back with Aiden, Glenn, Nicolas, and Noah, they try to free Aiden, but it's not happening. He's impaled. The zombies are coming. They're swarming. I think they set off a flare to distract them. And they try to get him out try to get him unimpaled, and it doesn't work. So Nicolas and Aiden say something to each other, but I didn't catch what they said. I don't know. It's something's fishy going on. Something was fishy going on between the two, because the group has no choice but to leave Aiden behind, and he gets torn to pieces and eaten up. I gotta say, guys, this was by far one of the most goriest episodes of The Walking Dead. Not just Aiden's kill and the fact that the camera lingers on shots of characters being eaten in this episode, but I mean, it was really cringe-worthy stuff in tonight's episode. There's another character that bites the dust. I'm gonna get into that shortly, but that scene was a pretty epic moment. You just have a bird's eye. Aiden is impaled, and they're just beating on him, and it looked pretty good. The effects looked pretty good. The makeup, all of that looked pretty damn good. So Glenn, Noah, and Nicolas are now on the run. I think they were trying to get the car, I think, or yeah, something like that. Then they're going for the exit, and then there's zombies coming on one side. There's zombies coming on one side of this like revolving slide door. You know that like circular door? You go in one way and then you push, and then this is the slide door. You go in, okay, right here, and then you push, and then you're able to go, and then you go inside, okay? So like those revolving doors, okay, that you'd see in a department store. Nicolas goes in one side first, ahead of Glenn and Noah. Glenn and Noah go in the other one, and then they're trapped literally in between, okay? Because you have zombies on the outside of the revolving doors trying to get in. You have zombies on the inside trying to get at them as well. So I thought that was a pretty badass moment. It was really exciting, in my opinion. I thought it was. And that was definitely one of the most interesting moments of the show. You have Noah and Glenn on one end of the revolving doors, then you have Nicolas, and they don't have guns, so they can't even shoot the glass to get out. Or Glenn and Noah have guns, but Nicolas has the ammo. So obviously they're screwed. At one point, Eugene steps up and comes in with the truck. He's got Tara with him, and he starts beeping the horn to get the zombies to leave the area on the outside. Nicolas breaks the glass or starts to open the door a little bit and gets freed. But in the process, Glenn and Noah's side starts to open up. So the zombies grab Noah's leg, and they're trying to pull Noah in from the ones from the inside. Nicolas gets free and runs off, and leaving Glenn and Noah behind, and Noah gets pulled in into the zombie horde. Before he does, though, he tells Glenn, "Don't let go," and gets pulled in. And then you think that they're just gonna cut there to a shot of Glenn looking upset that Noah gets pulled in, but we're on Glenn. Then we cut back to Noah, who slams against the glass, and then they're just tearing him apart. And the most horrifying moment of it was not seeing them ripping the flesh off of Noah. That wasn't what did it for me. What really affected me mentally was seeing Glenn have to watch that shit. I don't think Glenn has had to watch anything as near as horrifying in this entire show as he did with Noah's death scene, because they are just tearing him apart. And again, you can visualize without them having to even show us how bad it is. You can sense how bad it is, but they actually show you how bad it is, and that's something they very rarely do on the show. They're not, they always have a ton of blood and gore, but this was by far one of the goriest episodes I've ever seen of the show, by far, without a doubt. So Glenn, you just get shots of him looking just not disgusted, what's the word? Just upset and just horrified. And I love that. So Glenn gets out of there alive, and Eugene beats the shit out of Nicolas because, he pulls over. Nicolas comes running over. And Eugene's like, where are the others? Nicolas refuses to tell him. So Eugene knocks him out, and then Glenn gets back to Eugene, and they get back to Alexandria. And then during that scene, during the ending scene, when they're doing the parallel editing, and we're showing all these storylines wrapping up for the episode, we see a shot of Deanna in the house that she's always in, and then we hear Glenn screaming, "We need help." So you know that they get there. They're outside the walls, and Tara's bleeding out, and Nicolas got Eugene kicked the shit out of him. So, there's that as well. So that is that storyline. And then I haven't even gotten to the ending yet. The ending, which was one of the best parts of the episode, guys. Father Gabriel, we see him in the opening scene. He goes into the church that Alexandria has. I keep thinking I'm going to say Woodbury. Alexandria has. And he goes inside and starts ripping pages out of a Bible. Then we really don't see him for the rest of the episode. Then we see him at the end. He goes over to Deanna's place, and lets her know, and just flat out tells her, I don't think we can trust Rick's group. And I was like, no. And then she's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, Rick's group has done unspeakable things that nobody should have to do. He goes into and he's trying to sway her, and at first she's like, we all do these kinds of things just to survive. We have to survive. And then Gabriel's like, no, I mean, you haven't seen what they have done. And obviously it wasn't good that he witnessed the whole church massacre, because yeah, I mean, obviously that's one reason why he's telling Deanna these things. I don't remember the exact quote, but I think he said something along the lines of Satan is in the lights of heaven or something like that, and he was referring to Rick and the group. So something in his mind told him, listen, I don't want this group here. I don't trust them. Deanna, I got to go to Deanna and get her to kick them out or do something with them because they can't be trusted. So Deanna is getting this information from Gabriel, and two important things are happening here. One, Maggie, who had been with Deanna the whole episode, is downstairs. We keep cutting to a wide shot of Gabriel talking to Deanna, and I'm like, why are they cutting to this wide shot? And we cut back to a closer shot on them, then we cut back to the wide, and we see the stairwell, and Maggie starts coming up, and where I'm like, holy shit, Maggie knows what Gabriel's saying. She's going to want to tell the group what's going on. Gabriel just told Deanna they can't be trusted, so now she's probably not going to want to trust them, and that's not good for Rick and the gang. So Maggie knows. She's probably going to say something. Gabriel screwed the group, and he's like, no, I'm done with them. And he's committed sins himself, so, he shouldn't be throwing stones, but he's throwing stones. So she's going to take this into account. She says, I'll think about what you told me. She tells Gabriel that. Then we have Aiden, her own son, who's now dead. So she and Rick's group, part of Rick's group, was with him when he died. That's not good. So Rick's group's in trouble now. Either they're going to try to take out Rick's group within Alexandria, or Rick is going to try to make the first move, kill Pete, and then take out the Alexandrian group because they're not strong enough for this apocalypse. So that is what happened in last night's episode, guys. It was a mouthful. I'm sorry this video is so long, but I had a lot to discuss. This was a very involved episode. It was a great episode. I really, really loved it. One of the best of the season. I have a few complaints I'd like to get into, but I like the things that they explored, honestly, in the episode. The whole connection with Carol and Ed, and that abusive relationship, and then Jessie and Pete. I thought that was brilliant stuff. Seeing the development of Eugene was great. Seeing Abraham had that great character moment. The goriness of the episode, the tension was great. The goriness actually affected me for the first time, and it hasn't done that on the show. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe they're not cutting away. Like, it didn't freak me out, it didn't bum me out or give me nightmares, but I'm like, damn, I can't believe they're showing us that much. Wow. It was unexpected, and I like that. I like when The Walking Dead can surprise me. So I loved all that. I loved the ending because it was out of nowhere, and now we've got a conflict going on here, and Gabriel's sort of an antagonist now. He's bringing down Rick's group. He's going to get Deanna to turn on them, and I don't know. We're going to see. The things are not looking good for Rick and the group now. They just lost Noah. Noah's death was slightly emotional. It's not like Noah's been a major character, so I didn't feel terrible when he died, or when he got eaten. But I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just, it happens. I'm sad Tyler James Williams isn't going to be on the show anymore because he's a great actor. But what are you going to do? In the end, guys, I'm going to give last night's episode of The Walking Dead a 9.5 out of 10. I really, really liked it. I thought it was solid writing for the most part. I do have a few problems why I didn't go 10. First and foremost, the first 10 minutes was very slow, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? This episode's not going to be that great. That was the first thing. Also, I love the ending and how Gabriel approaches the end. I love the editing that they had and just the cut from one character storyline to another, to another, to another. I love that. I love how that worked. But I felt that Gabriel's motivation to sort of tell Deanna what happened wasn't clear enough for me. Like, we just have a shot of him in the church, and he looks distressed. He rips the pages out of the Bible, and then we have another shot of him later on. He looks at Deanna, and then he goes to visit her and tells her. And he had been absent the last 2 episodes, so he's like a minor character, and just out of the blue brings it up. I just felt that motivation should have been stronger, and it wasn't that well handled, in my opinion. I mean, it was a great twisty ending, but it could have been fleshed out more. And my only other problem with the episode was Noah's death. I knew something was coming with Noah. And I'll tell you why, and The Walking Dead does this all the time when the character's about to die. They always place emphasis on a character. They put emphasis on it. We had a scene in the beginning of Noah talking to Deanna's husband, and I think they were talking about architecture or something. I'm like, alright, something's going to happen in this episode. I mean, you could tell when it's going to happen. Yeah, so that is why I was like, I don't know about tonight's episode. It's a little predictable. I was like, I know something's going to happen to Noah. I knew something was going to happen to one of them. I thought Eugene, but I'm like, no, they still got to develop Eugene a little bit more. They just had him redeem himself a little bit there. They're not going to kill him off. And I'm like, they're going to kill off Noah, and they did. So they got to change that up. I mean, the same thing happened when Dale died. They focused the whole episode on him, with Herschel, with Merle. It happens on the show. So guys, that's all I have to say about last night's episode of The Walking Dead. I really enjoyed it overall. 9.5 out of 10 is still a great grade. One of the best episodes of the season. It was gory, it was suspenseful, it was exciting, the ending was great. I really, really enjoyed it. Definitely, I want to know your guys' thoughts on last night's episode as well. Let me know down below in the comments, guys, and I thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review. Again, I'm sorry it's in my car, but I couldn't help it. I'm sorry, guys. I will see you in my next video, guys, hopefully soon. I'm going to try to get my 1K subscriber giveaway up soon, guys. I promise you, I will do my best to get it up ASAP. Okay, so I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks again for watching. Again, leave me your predictions and leave me your thoughts on what's going to happen on next week's episode of The Walking Dead. Things are going to get exciting, guys. I'm looking forward to it. What do you think is going to happen? And what do you think of the episode? Let me know down below. And yeah, so that's it, guys. I will see you in my next video. Bye.